What's up? Hey, hello, everyone. Wow. And we hope that you had an amazing new year and a happy and safe holiday season. Today, we are back, not really going to be talking about the challenge, but also sort of talking about the challenge because sadly, the challenge didn't have an episode airing this week, which totally sucks. But today, we are going to be talking about Survivor players that we want to see on the challenge. So, my name is Rachel.
I'm Alyssa, and in case you guys didn't know, we really like Survivor, and so we think about Survivor a lot. And I feel like one of the first things I thought about when I started watching the challenge is which Survivor players would be good at it. Just because in this season, we have two Survivor players on the challenge. Obviously, if you haven't watched our challenge videos, I said in our first challenge video, I only started watching the challenge because of Survivor and because Jay was on it and I wanted to see what the hype was about. So I feel like thinking about Survivor players on the challenge is kind of what got me interested in the challenge.
Yeah, and because now Survivor players are starting to do the crossover, Jay being the first United States Survivor player coming into the challenge. Technically, Turbo from Survivor Turkey was the first Survivor player to come to the challenge, but now with the US Survivor people coming to the challenge and, having good, I feel like, ratings, Jay being brought back for his second season. Natalie has been gotten like a lot of fans from the challenge and stuff like that. I feel like for the future, they're going to start bringing more people from Survivor into the challenge universe.
Yeah, because I feel like part of it is also a lot of people go on the challenge for like clout or whatever. And I feel like you need to be bringing in new viewers to your show in order to be able to like keep promising people that they're going to like gain social media followers or whatever. And so if you bring in players from a new franchise that are like popular, then I feel like that's how you get increasing viewership and keep on producing the challenge.
Exactly, because for our picks of Survivor players that we want to see on the challenge, one of our criteria was that these people are coming from another TV show in Survivor because it seems like the challenge does not just pick randos off the street. You have to come from some other kind of TV show or like be famous in some other way or an influencer already so that you already have a following. So, random Joe off the street is not really going to get invited to the challenge versus random people off the street can get on Survivor. So I feel like that's a little bit of a difference for casting the challenge versus Survivor. But our picks are more based on recent players because we thought that if they are from older seasons, they might be less likely to do another TV show now. And with that, we really tried to pick players that are on the younger end because it seems like the challenge really doesn't have older players debut as an older person. People like CT are older now, but for their first challenge as a rookie, they were not like the age they are now. So we really tried to pick some younger people because the challenge just doesn't debut older people as rookies. And so we also wanted to pick people that were fit and good at challenges, obviously. And we tried to pick people that are more outspoken, would be good TV, cause drama, even if they might not be the best at challenges or have the best social game.
Yeah, and I guess also we also looked at social game because Survivor I feel like is a very very strategic game, and sometimes people on the challenge don't seem to like to have super complicated strategies. It's kind of like us versus them. There's not as much alliance switching, I feel like. So we really wanted to look at players that would be good TV on the challenge, but also would have a chance of actually doing well on the challenge. So I feel like some players we would maybe like to see, but they would just fall flat on their face. So
Yeah, they just aren't the challenge type. So we're going to start with a list of players who were rumored to be contacted for season 36 and we would want to see. So the first person on this list that was contacted for season 36, obviously they aren't on the show. Alyssa, if you want to start that off.
yeah, so the first person on the list is Cole from HHH, Heroes, Healers, Hustlers. And I think he was on the Healers tribe, question mark. But he was a young, fit guy. He, I guess, would be good at the physical part of the challenge.
Yeah, for Cole, I don't really need to see him on my TV again.
Yeah, I feel like he's definitely not a player that I would be like, oh my God, I want to see them. So, I mean, if he did go on, I think I would be like, oh, cool, that's a Survivor player, but I would not be like invested. So, and then the next player who we wanted to see, who was rumored to have been contacted for season 36, is Michelle Fitzgerald from Brains, Beauty, Brawn 2. And then also she played in Winners at War, obviously. So I feel like Michelle would do really well because she does have that social game. And I feel like she is more of a physical threat than people gave her credit for, I think, in Co Wrong. And yeah, I also really like Michelle. I think that she's like good TV just because she's nice and she's like funny, but not in the way I guess a lot of challenge players are funny. Like her humor is a lot more subtle, and I think that would be fun to play off of.
Yeah, I feel like out of everyone on like the rumored list or people that we randomly chose for the Survivor cast to be on the challenge, Michelle is probably the most likely to get cast for the challenge and like get on, you know? So that's probably something to look forward to. Michelle also tweeted a few weeks ago or last week that like a poll on Twitter saying, should I go on the challenge, yes or no? And a lot of people were saying yes. So it does seem like Michelle has been in contact and might get on the challenge for season 37. Like Alyssa was saying, I would want to see Michelle on the challenge too, coming off of 2 Survivor seasons. I think Michelle can do really well because she's good at puzzles. And, you know, maybe if she's training for the more physical competitions, she can also beast it in that aspect as well. But I really think Michelle should go on like an X's season or like a enemies rivals season against like Michelle and Wendell as a pair, or Michelle and Jay as a pair, or even like if Michelle and Dean break up ever, then Michelle and Dean as a pair, because I think those three would be just like, those three pairings would be so interesting because like Michelle and Jay used to date. So I think like if they did some kind of rivals season or exes, I would want to see them paired.
How did I miss that Michelle and Jay used to date? Wow, I'm just out of the loop. That's fine.
Yeah, so our next person that was contacted for season 36 was Sydney from Brain Brawn Beauty 2 as well. Both Alyssa and I want to see Sydney on the challenge. I think Sydney would be a bomb-ass person on the challenge as well. Similar to Michelle, I think, you know, Sydney from Co Wrong had a good social game. She was really strong, and because she does like work out a lot, I think Sydney could really rock it in those really physical challenges. And since she hasn't come back to Survivor, and if she doesn't want to come back to Survivor for like a second chances season or something, I would totally want to see Sydney do that crossover.
Yeah, and I think it's really interesting because Sydney is also like a very obviously buff girl, and I feel like a lot of the girls on the challenge, even the ones who are strong, aren't like super jacked the way Sydney is / was. And so like it would be really cool to see someone with her body type on the challenge. I feel like, because I feel like the like buff guys get a lot of attention, but the buff girls don't always.
Yeah, Sydney, I feel like similar to Natalie, like they are just like outwardly super, really like muscly, which I'd be scared to go against them in any kind of competition, which it seems like that's the case for Natalie this season. But yeah, Sydney also has that kind of like really buff body type.
Yeah. So Rachel mentioned earlier that it would be fun to see Michelle on like an X's and Rivals season, and I feel like these next two people would also be really fun on like an X's season, and that's Taylor and Figgy from Millennials versus Gen X. They had like an island showmance, but then Taylor like had a girlfriend at home. It was all sorts of messed up, but I feel like they were really, I wouldn't even say interesting on Millennials versus Gen X, but like the drama that they could potentially bring would be great.
Yeah, I feel like I'd want to see them on like the X's season, but otherwise, I'm sort of about seeing them on the challenge. If one of them were to be on the challenge, I would have to pick Figgy over Taylor. Even if they were going to return to Survivor, I would pick Figgy over Taylor also. So I would put like, I want to see Figgy again, whether it is on Survivor or the challenge, more so over Taylor.
Yeah, I definitely would want to see Figgy again just because I feel like Taylor kind of just, he had an alliance and his alliance kept him safe, but he didn't really do much on his own. So
Yeah, so the next person on the list that was contacted for season 36 is Michaela Bradshaw. She was on Millennials versus Gen X also and Game Changers. We want to see her come to the challenge because I think Michaela would be great at the challenges. We saw like that was the reason why she was invited back directly after Millennials versus Gen X is because like the production really liked her and she won a lot of challenges at the beginning right before she was voted out. And I feel like since she was on Game Changers, I feel like Michaela doesn't really need to go back to Survivor since her story has sort of played its course. So I would like her to see, like, to do that crossover. And with Jay on the challenge, if they were to do another rival season, I think Jay and Michaela as a team would be like super funny also, considering how Michaela was voted out her first time on Survivor in Millennials versus Gen X. But I think if Michaela were to come on there, just not as a like theme season like that, I think that would be an interesting storyline between her and Jay.
yeah, that would be really fun. I just feel like a lot of Survivor players, I would be more interested to see them on the challenge as like a way of seeing their relationship with other Survivor players than necessarily because like I want to see them on the challenge. Because I feel like the challenge is a lot better at like getting people to have interpersonal drama just because there's a lot more people and also they don't have to worry about food or whatever, so the drama that they have isn't about like, oh, you ate the rice. It's about like, oh, you asked me what 8 times 9 is. So
You slept with my girl.
yeah, so
Yeah, so the next person on there is Dean, which was sort of alluded to with Michelle being cast. Dean was also called, and he was on Island of Secrets. I think Dean would be cool to go on the challenge because he is like physically fit. He's also like, you know, super smart Ivy League kind of boy. So I think he could have some good strategy. He's also fun on the TV. It seems like fans really liked him. But I feel like I would prefer to see him do Survivor Second Chances or like another Survivor season before doing that crossover. I don't know. I feel like he has something to prove in Survivor or something to show more before switching to the challenge.
yeah, I feel like he would definitely be better on another season of Survivor. And then I feel like it would also give the challenge producers more to work with once he has more of like a established personality to work around, I guess. So
Yeah, and so similar to the next one is with Alec Merlino from David vs. Goliath. I would want to see him on the challenge because he's like banned from Survivor, so he's not coming back to Survivor. So I would want to see him on another TV show. I think in David versus Goliath, he had a lot of funny screen time. You know, him versus Christian on that like 6 hour long post immunity challenge. That was cool. And I think, you know, Alec was playing an online version of Sequester and like he was funny on there. And so I think he could do well at the challenge socially. And he's also like a fit dude.
yeah, I also feel like Alec looks like someone who would go on the challenge, just like if you look at him, you know?
Yeah, you know, he's
So
very attractive. And the challenge casts only like attractive people.
I guess. So
Yes. So the next one we have is Wendell from Ghost Island and Winners at War. We both want to see him on the challenge, but that's a little bit more of a maybe it won't happen because he, I guess, is considered too old for the challenge, which is so weird to say because he's only like mid 30s. But there was a stat saying that he would be like the oldest rookie ever if he were to be on the challenge. So like that's just so like weird to think about, but I think Wendell would do well because he is fit. He has the social game. I don't think he like acts mid 30s either. Like that, I don't know. Just that whole weird stat is just so weird. I would want to see him on the challenge even if he's considered like too old. But yeah, I don't know. Similar to like the exes or rivals thing, him and Michelle, even though that would be a little bit spicy, I think that would be good TV.
yeah, I feel like Wendell definitely acts a lot younger than he is. And I don't know, I feel like it would be interesting to see how his Survivor strategy would adapt to the challenge, just because I feel like on Survivor he had his like right hand man. And I'm not sure if that would work as well on the challenge just because there's so many more people.
Yeah, so speaking of Ghost Island, 4 other Ghost Island contestants were contacted for season 36 with Chris Noble, Libby, Michael Yerger, and James Lim. For me, I feel like I would be interested in seeing Chris, Michael, and James go on the challenge because, Chris with that rap, I think he's good TV, he's fit. Michael, he's like our age, so like 22, 23 now, so he's obviously like prime time ready. He's super young for the challenge. He's doing like modeling, Instagram, influencering things out in LA right now. And so I feel like being on the challenge could be good for his social media platforms. And James is more of a one. I feel like because he did Harvard track and field and like did sports growing up, I think he would be fit, but I'm not sure if he would be like good TV.
Yeah, I feel like Michael would probably be, if I had to pick any of the Ghost Island crew, he would be the one I would pick to see on the challenge just because I feel like he has the highest chance of doing well. I feel like Chris, I remember not really liking him on Ghost Island, but that could also just be a totally fake memory. And like you said about James, I feel like he might be a little too nerdy for the challenge. So I feel like as soon as you say I went to Harvard on the challenge, people just like vote him off.
Yeah, it's like the 8 times 9 things, then you can't fight with James because he would know his multiplication tables. But yeah, I think similar, someone like Christian, we'd want to see on the challenge, but like in a million years, that would never freaking happen because like they just don't cast people like Christian on the challenge, So I feel like maybe similar to James, James maybe comes off as like super intelligent and people would know that he went to Harvard. So you can't really like hide the fact now since he already went on Survivor. So that could be something. My friend actually, or like a girl that I worked with in college actually went to Harvard with James and like knew him and like would talk about him all the time. And so that's why I said I'd want to see him again.
That's so cute though. And then rounding out our list of players who were rumored to have been contacted for season 36 of the challenge is Wendy from Edge of Extinction. I thought that was kind of interesting because wasn't Wendy one of the people who quit Edge of Extinction?
Oh, yeah.
So, like, I just feel like I would not want to invite back a quitter for my show, especially because TJ is always like, you gotta give it your all, you gotta be the best, blah, 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 blah. Like, all of those, like, you're doing it wrong if you're not giving 100% thing. So I feel like he would not be super thrilled to have someone who quit.
Yeah, I guess it depends like what your definition of like quitting is. If like quitting or leaving the edge is like quitting because they were, already voted out of the game, her and Keith, so like leaving the edge. So like if you don't consider Sandra quitting the edge as quitting, I guess Wendy leaving the edge might not be considered quitting. So I guess it really depends like what you consider as like quitting Survivor versus like leaving the Edge of Extinction. But yeah, I would want to see Wendy on the challenge because I feel like her go around in Survivor, she was sort of like picked on and made fun of a lot, and so like that was sort of a bummer to see. But I think Wendy did show on her like few episodes that she was on before getting voted out that she like is super strong physically. Like she was one of the better swimmers on the tribe, and like I see Wendy on Reddit a lot, like doing Rubik's Cubes things, like doing a like super big Rubik's Cubes like portraits where like you change the colors and it like, I don't know, you glue them to the painting and then it becomes a painting. It's like really, really cool. And there's like time lapses of it. And so like, she's really smart because I'm like, how do you even plan that? Like, Alyssa, I'll send you a photo if I can find them because like literally it's like the coolest thing ever.
Yeah, I feel like those are really cool. And I guess I've just heard a lot of people saying that leaving the edge is basically the same as quitting because you're giving up a chance to get back into the game. And I think people are more forgiving of Sandra doing it because she's so much less physically fit. Whereas because Wendy is so strong, like she had a good chance of being put back in if she like competed in the challenge to get back in the game. So I think that's kind of like the rationale behind it.
Yeah, and I guess I'm not sure. Maybe they didn't get like a lot of information for the Edge because I feel like when we were watching that season for the first time, we didn't know like, oh, they didn't know also, like after the first Edge challenge, that they would all be sent back to the Edge. They thought they were all going to Ponderosa or like being sent home after that. So I feel like the instructions may not have been like clear. And it seems like, I think I saw like a post-season interview with Wendy and Keith saying like, oh, they didn't know like that if they lost the first challenge, they could still get back in a second time. So that's why they like left early.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. So Survivor just needs to be better at instructions, and so does the challenge, as we've talked about.
Yeah, so going into people that Alyssa and I think would be good for the challenge or we'd want to see on the challenge from just other seasons of Survivor. From season 28, we have Sarah, Wu, and Chaos Cass. Chaos Cass is more of a like, haha, that's so funny, like she would cause drama, but she's definitely like way too old and not like the type of person that the challenge would ever cast on the challenge. So more of like Sarah and Wu would be the people that we'd want to see because they're both like fit and would like be good TV.
Yeah, isn't Sarah also on the older end, though? Isn't she like 33, 34? I don't know off the top of my head, but I feel like she would also be older.
Yeah, but younger than Wendell still, and if Wendell's considered like old, then I don't know. But like, yeah, that's like the weird thing with the challenge because like, 30 isn't old, but apparently in challenge universe it is for starting your rookie season.
Apparently. But from season 29, which is San Juan del Sur, we would like to see Kelly Wentworth and Jeremy Collins. I feel like those are the people from San Juan del Sur that are just like the best. And obviously they both were invited back on Survivor because they're amazing. And I feel like they're both really physically fit. Jeremy's also older. I guess we want to see older people than the challenge would cast, just because I feel like a lot of the really good Survivor players are like kind of on the older end because the really young ones are just kind of, I don't want to say annoying, but annoying.
Like the younger ones would cause more drama, like the Michael kind of types would be more drama and like making out with people kind of thing, versus I feel like the Jeremy type, like Darrell having like kids and Jeremy having 4 kids, I think it'd be more of like the chill kind of like older mentor type. But yeah, I feel like Jeremy wouldn't go on the challenge because it seems like, I don't know, like a little bit like sort of trashy for like a grown person with multiple kids kind of to go on, like especially if they are casting super young like people, then it's like sort of like spring breakers. I don't know, I'd feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, I would be kind of weirded out just like talking to someone knowing that we were in such different phases of life, especially because on Survivor it's kind of expected because there are some people who are like 18 and then some people who are like 71, so you kind of know getting there that you're all going to be in different phases of life. But I feel like the challenge tries to pick people who are in the kind of like late 20s, don't know what we're doing but we can party phase of life. So
yeah, like the wild, like no responsibilities kind of type. But it seems like the people that they've been like bringing back, like the Corey kind of people, like they have kids now, so like they're going more into like the older, like less I'm going to like cheat on my partner back home and like make out with this new person kind of thing on the challenge. But it still does happen, so I feel like the younger people would be good for the drama, but the older people would be better because I don't know, I don't like watching that kind of drama, but like that's a whole nother podcast.
Yeah, I feel like it's interesting because the challenge is kind of switching demographics because it keeps on bringing back veterans. And so it's like, obviously, their vets are getting older because time is passing. So I feel like they either need to commit to the challenge being like an old, now like having older people, or like go back to the way it was before where they have a bunch of like younger, chaotic people.
Yeah, I feel like I'm more of a fan of the like more sophisticated, like older kind of people, like, or just like younger people that aren't super down to like party all the time and like they're chill. I don't know. That's my personal preference. But going into season 32, we have Nick Majorano and Scott Pollard. I feel like maybe they're on the older end as well. Scott being an ex-professional athlete would be really good on the challenge, obviously, and he's like super freaking tall. Nick I think he's just funny, and maybe, you know, Nick and Michelle as an exes season, that would be good also. Nick just got like engaged, so he's like a different person than he was the first time he played Survivor, so I think that would be cool to see on the TV. But I would want to see Nick on like a Second Chances season almost more than on the challenge. Scott can go in the challenge.
Yeah, I feel like Scott's really old though, because he retired from basketball at like 30 something, right? And then he hasn't been in basketball for like 5-10 years. Hold on, I'm gonna Google how old he is because I feel like he's old.
So that's the thing about the challenge. Like,
yeah,
I
he's
don't know
45.
How old yeah, he's probably too old for the challenge too. But like SMH, I don't know. Everyone just like looks the same age.
Mood. From season 33, we thought that Mari would be a good one. She was first boot, second boot of Millennials versus Gen X. I remember she was my winner pick because I guess she's like really strategic, but she's also really pretty. She has her own following from like her video game thing.
Yeah.
So it would be interesting.
I know. I was so bummed when Mari got voted out early in Millennials versus Gen X also. So I would want to see her on the challenge if she weren't to come back to like Survivor for another season. And I think she could do well at the challenge, like professional ballerina-ing and also her like professional video gaming stuff. So she has like the brawn and the beauty and the brains. Triple threat with Mari. So I'd want to see her on TV again.
Yeah. I agree. I think she'd be a cool one.
Yeah, so our next group is from season 35, HHH. We would want to see Ali Elliott, Desi, and Devin Pinto. Those three, I think, at least Ali and Desi, I feel like we didn't see too much of them on the TV. Ali was my winner pick for HHH, so I'd want to see her again. I think she's a strong girl and like can super rock it. And I was super sad that she got voted out like pre-merge. Desi also is someone that can be very strong and probably really good at the challenges. And Devin, obviously, like, I guess like surfer bro kind of thing. I think he would be good on the challenge. And I think he just had a kid. So he's definitely in like a different kind of stage of life than he was the first time playing Survivor.
Man, you keep up with all these Survivor players and you say stuff and I'm just like, what the heck? But yeah, I feel like Ali and Desi definitely didn't get their fair shake on Survivor. It just, yeah, I would like to see more of them. And I'm not sure Survivor would be the best place to see more of them. So...
yeah, so going into season 37, David versus Goliath, a similar kind of thing. We have B, who is a mixed martial arts person, and so she sort of like quit but left her Survivor season because she got like injured and she was afraid that her injury could become worse and it would ruin her mixed martial arts career. So I think, you know, I think because she is like an athlete every day, she would be really good on the challenge. We also have John Morrison, the professional wrestler, and then Kara from David vs. Goliath. Kara and Alec, that would be a good one as like some kind of paired season also. But yeah, I think John would be cool, but he might be a little old also.
Isn't Kara also banned from returning to Survivor?
At least Alec is for breaking the NDA, but I think because like Kara was invited to the finale reunion because she was in like what, final 3, final 4. Mm-hmm. So she was invited back, but maybe she's not invited back to Survivor. I'm not sure. I just know Alec is not.
Yeah. So I guess that's interesting. I really liked B, so I was bummed that she got injured, and I would like to see her on the challenge. Hopefully she wouldn't get injured on the challenge, though, since the challenge also has a lot of injuries.
Oh, yeah, that would totally suck. You leave Survivor because you get injured, and then you leave the challenge because you also get injured.
Yeah, but so rounding out our list from season 38 is Lauren O'Connell. She was the one who played with Kelly Wentworth and War Dog in Edge of Extinction. And I don't know, I remember thinking she was a really good social player, and she's like decently fit. So
yeah, she did college soccer, so she's like should be good at challenges and fit, and like she's super pretty also. So maybe she would like cause that drama that the young people want in the challenge. But I think with Lauren, like for Big Brother, they're thinking of casting like Annalise from Big Brother. And I'm like, come on, if you're going to take like a brown-haired soccer girl, pick Lauren over Annalise, because Annalise didn't even know what like an adjective and adverb was in Big Brother. Like, at least Lauren is intelligent. So that's why we have to push for Lauren to get on the challenge over Annalise. Like, why,
I'm just imagining someone yelling at Annalise, what's an adjective? What's an adjective? So...
yeah. So I'm like, Lauren at least, has the strategy and like physical chops too. But yeah. So going into a speed round of players from Australian Survivor, because, the challenge is international. They have a bunch of people from the UK. Nam is from Germany. And so they have a bunch of people from everywhere. So if you're going to cast US Survivor, might as well cast Australian Survivor while you're at it. So I just came up with a list of 5 names that I thought would be good on the challenge, or I would want to see on TV again. Probably there are more than this, but I just didn't list them here. So I have David, who is winner of the All-Star season of the challenge. He's super fit, super smart, just amazing TV in general. I want to see him, but maybe he's a little too old also, which really sucks. The next one is Shawnee, and then I also would want to see Harry again, and Brooke and Abby, who is the pro footballer. I think especially like someone like Brooke, who is super physical, like I think Brooke would be super great on the challenge. And I don't know, because Lockie was just the Bachelor in Australia, that would be weird. But like if you had a Lockie and Brooke pairing as like exes or rivals, that'd be so funny. But yeah, we can only dream about those like weird kinds of pairings happening. But that's like the short list of Australian Survivor. I'd maybe want to see someone like Benji on my TV again. But yeah, this is not an Australian Survivor podcast right now. So
yeah, and we tried to think of people from Survivor South Africa that we would want to see, but I feel like Survivor South Africa, the seasons we watched, I wasn't super into anyone. And also the people I did like, I feel like were too old for the challenge. So
yeah, maybe like Jacques or someone, but also I don't think
Jacques.
I think he'd probably get voted out first of the challenge.
Yeah, he's definitely too nerdy. So that concludes our list of Survivor players we think should go on the challenge. Let us know in the comments down below if you think that there's anyone that we missed, if there's players that you would like to see, if you think that Survivor players should never go on the challenge ever again. So yeah, just let us know in the comments, and we'll see you guys next week talking about the actual